Here with Nigel Karen Agriculture. Nigel, it's great to be back here. The spring just starting to kick in.
Yeah, magic starts at here around the 14th of August. As soon as we hit that day, we're back in business again as far as growth over coming out of the cold period.
We've got obviously a group of sale rams behind us, which are not too far away from hitting their straps.
Friday the 26th of September sale day. There's 500 lotted rams behind us there.
Yeah, no, excellent. I guess people have heard us chat a few times on the podcast. We're sort of becoming a bit of a regular feature, but I guess we just wanted today, we've just driven through the farm to have a look at a few Wagyus and come and have a look at these boys and look at a few sires earlier on. But what always strikes me when I'm driving around here is the investment in labour efficiency, investing in taking sort of those jobs out of the business as best we can, as well as just infrastructure generally. I guess what gives you the confidence in the sheep industry what has allowed you to invest in that sort of infrastructure, and what gives you the confidence to keep on investing?
Our business has always been very much dominated by merino joined merino. We haven't mucked around with terminal size for years because we've got the merinos humming along that well as far as growth and fertility. We don't have to muck around with the other breeds. So everything you see when you drive around this farm has been driven from the income that's come from merino sheep. We have a sheep breeding operation, but when we get the bigger years where we can take advantage of more grass, we'll actually trade cattle. So one of the main things we trade is pretty much Angus heifers. So it's a sheep dominant business, but excess grass is sold back to a cattle trading operation.
What intrigues me is the mindset that I guess that use of that grass, knowing that grass is what's driving the business, and I guess mindset from I don't know which came first, whether the trading enterprise or the learnings from it came first, but I guess driving that cash flow is key, not just in that trading business, but also when we're thinking about how we breed these beasts behind us, in terms of making sure we've got that turnover and cash flow coming through.
Yeah. So in any business, it doesn't matter whether it's off farm, in a city or whatever, all businesses are driven by turnover. The quicker you can bring a product into your business, turn it over, take a margin on it and create cash flow, that's what all businesses are about. It's not just special to agriculture, it's the guts of all business. And for us, the one thing I realised 30 odd years ago is you got to get a product into your business, get it out quick. And for us, it was having a high fertility flock, so you have lots of products to sell,
yep.
But they had to be fast in and out of the gate. So we looked at breeding and merino. This was back before we even looked at ASBVs. We just looked at that fast, rapid growth in that first 6 months. So our goal is 5.5, 6 months. We're shearing wether lambs, and then selling them 3 weeks later. So we get the wool off them, and then sell them 3 months later at that 28, 29 kilo carcass. But what I love about these things, and a lot of the times now, and we've got clients doing it also, they're actually shearing them twice and taking them right through. If the season's going with them, they take them out to big export heavyweight lambs, or they'll sell them at 25 or 26 kilo. But they're actually shearing them twice then. And they can make the decision to sell them 24, 25 kilo, or they can take them right out to 38 kilo carcasses, get another harvest off them a couple of weeks before they hook them. So you've got 2 lots of wool income. And we've seen that this year, what's possible in that Australian Merino weather trial that was conducted. It just shows you there was 78 teams, 44 bloodlines, and there was teams in there that absolutely smoked it for growth as well as performance in feedlots and wool income.
And I guess if we think about what's driving that and the two things, I guess it's not just cash flow, it's also risk. And so fertility and growth both take, and you've already mentioned it, that flexibility that it brings into your system by having something growing fast. You can either get it out the gate early for some value, or you can hold onto it and actually capitalise on that good season, which is and you talk about it a lot, the climate variability, whatever you want to call it, is real. It's always been real. Whether it's getting worse or not is irrelevant. The fact that we need to have systems that can flex with the season and take the good seasons and make the value out of them, but also protect itself.
So a lot of noise being made post-COVID about labour efficiencies. Oh, we've got to do this. We've got to get them back, feet right. We've got to get dag. We've got to get worms. We've got to get all that. Do you know the biggest one they've missed? And no one talks about it. Terminals, composite dudes, merino blokes. If you want to eliminate labour, get something off your place a lot quicker so there's a lot less of them to look after.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest number one drivers of labour efficiency, is how fast you get that lamb on the ground and get him into a processor's door which is driven by post-weaning weight, regardless of what breed you're actually blows your hair back. It's post-weaning weight that drives that early growth. And when I now look at post-weaning weight where you have a heavier lamb that's born into bad weather is the lamb that survives that bad night. So there's lots and lots of spin-offs of post-weaning weight. But for me, the one I look at is the amount of DSEs per full-time labour unit is so much more when you've got an animal that's going off your farm at 5 and 6 months of age compared to old-fashioned low fertility genetics that don't grow. They might have their, they might have their low micron wool and all that thing, but you still got to be cutting a heap of wool at low micron with a heap of fertility and a heap of growth. And take the wool component away, that stands for all breeds. Well, they're shedders, composites, terminals, no matter what they are. Your number one thing as a CEO of that business is how do I get grass, turn that grass into a saleable product as quick as I can and get it off the farm to the processor as quick as you can also.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity cost of slow growth is just massive in the industry. But yeah, as you said, across all breeds.
Across all businesses.
Yeah.
Like it's also your town and city-based business. Look at Harvey Norman.
Yeah.
He doesn't put a container of 52-inch plasmas into one of his franchises and say, I'll see if you can sell these over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
They've got to get turnover the same as we do. So that's how I think about how I manage grass and genetics.
Yeah. I guess you've just sort of talked about growth as being a key thing other than those health traits. Obviously, you've also been looking at those health traits, and I guess what we can't see in these animals behind us, we can see that over the last few years, definitely been a shape change as that carcass has come in. That growth has kind of been there for a while, but now been matched with carcass. But I guess what's under the hood here is also interesting, that fat for resilience, but that worm resistance, DAG, those things which are wrinkle for fly and non-mulesing. So there's a whole heap of things that, in addition to growth, we're building in that you can't kind of see, and a lot of people aren't even looking at in the industry that is becoming always important to keep that labour efficiency up.
That's the thing with any sheep stud breeder, once again, regardless of breed, that isn't using ASBVs to breed a better animal. That's all the stuff you can't see. I can't see fat, I can't see muscle, I can't see post-weaning weight. I can't see DAG resistance, I can't see weaning rate, litter size, I can't see any of that. So if you can't see it, there's a fair chance you won't get it unless you're actually looking at the data that drives those particular traits. So yeah, I just think where the whole animal sheep breeding industry in Australia is starting to really move quick, and you've got those that will adopt, and then you've got those that will move out of the industry. And the reason they'll probably move out is they just don't like adopting to what's available out there to them.
Yeah. No, I think we're seeing those changes all the time. If we do look forward to Care and Ag, you'd have to be pretty happy to look around today and see the development that the business has done and continues to do, and having a great business set up. If we sort of look forward, what's going forward for Care and Ag? What's going forward for Care and Pole? Is the future more of the same, or is it any tweaks coming?
I think through the use of modern communication systems, we've got to communicate more back with our clients. What we're learning here on farm, actually use that more in video delivered by email back to our clients. We can't grow our business as a seed stock business, whether that's merinos or Wagyu, unless we are doing everything we can to help our clients grow at the rate that what we are. And the good thing about that is the things in a grazing business that make it grow usually cost nothing.
Yeah.
There is zero cost other than learning better management skills, continuously sharpening yourself up with management. And for me, very average management has the same cost as brilliant management. The only difference between the two is knowledge. And that's part of the reason why we bring people into our business like Next Gen Agri. We're just growing our knowledge base having you in our business, because you get to travel all over Australia and New Zealand. You look at what works really well on people's farms and what doesn't, and we get to learn from that. So I think that sharing of knowledge isn't done enough in agriculture, and that's why we need to bring outsiders into our business. And we're actually an outsider as a seed stock producer, delivering information in a very simple way back to our clients. And that's why I do everything by phone at the moment, but as your client base expands, you just can't do that often enough and quick enough.
Yeah.
So for us, the future is video by emails back into our client base. And that's something we've been ignoring, but it's something we now have to do because the business has got to a scale now where it's damn hard to individually manage each client and keep them up to date with stuff that we're learning back here on this farm and also what we're learning from other consultants in our business.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess this is a tough and unfair question, but I know it's one of your most interesting. I guess what keeps you awake at night most is just the gap between the best and the rest, or the best and average in the farming world in terms of management, those skills.
Yeah.
I know it sort of, I don't know if frustrates you is the right word, but the fact that it isn't hard to implement a series of good things in management. What do you have have you learnt anything lately about why it is that we've got this gap that still exists and we're still fighting against? And really, as an industry, we don't have time to. When you've said it before and you'll say it again, like average isn't paying the bills, and yeah. So how do we get people up to these sort of implementing these systems that we know work?
I honestly believe the reason we don't know what we don't know. And we had a group of farmers here this week. I think there was a total of about 15 blokes. We did a couple of hours in the wool shed just on a flip chart, running through how we run it and what we do, and a heap of questions. It was a really good setup because it was a small group and you can do a heap of Q&A. Then we spent 3 hours out in the paddock and probably pulled up at 7 or 8 different points in the paddock and spoke about stuff. So every time a group comes to home, one of the things I ask them to do is, in the next 24 hours, can you send me a text with 5 things you picked up from the day? And if you owned this place, what would you change? And I love that feedback.
Yep.
And in that particular group of farmers, I didn't know that many, but I knew there was 3 very, very good operators, one in particular. And usually you don't get the responses by text backs for 3 or 4 days, but the texts on that particular occasion come back in that afternoon and that night. And this particular guy I knew runs a really good setup. After being driving around, he made the comment, I didn't realise I was so far behind in animal and pasture management. And I think that comment, you don't know what you don't know until you actually see it and copy it off someone else.
Yeah.
And when it happens on your farm, then you want more of it. It's an addictive drug that I know drives turnover in your business, is becoming very good at managing grass and having great genetics there to harvest that grass and turn it into a saleable product as quick as you can, which creates cash, which then drives all the infrastructure spending, which then drives all the efficiencies of labour. DSE's dry sheep equivalents per labour unit is driven by efficiencies on farm of infrastructure, yards, etc., especially wire and water and pastures. So it's a beautiful little setup when you look at it. Knowledge costs nothing as far as I'm concerned to get, and it's not until one of the things I love about visiting clients all over Australia, I get to steal all the good things they do and bring them back here and implement them in this business. And I look at the things that don't work for them and make sure that never creeps into this business, because there's a commonality no matter where you go across Australia, what works well and what doesn't work well.
I reckon that's a cracking place to end the chat, mate. But yeah, no, thanks for obviously, yeah, our involvement here is always great, and yeah, great to be here again and having a good look around.
So it's reciprocal, I guess, of actually having Next Gen Agri in our business as well. It's just a transfer of knowledge between the two, and I don't know what you do know. So anyway, thanks for having us.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.